Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers a commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of FRN, and you make this show possible. That's right, you simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. A great panel this week. We have John Patton of the Gun Collective and Patton Media Consulting. Hey, John.
Jake, how are you, buddy? Are you okay? You good?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm in a safe space now, so we're good.
Is that like a college safe space?
No.
A sin bin?
It's safe with guns and ammo. Abs, House of Guns, House of Arms, hey, Abs.
And House of Waffles.
Really? That's you too?
So, doing good. Slow time of year, but that means I get more time shooting and testing and getting to the range. And if I can get a day here that's not quite as windy, Colorado in the springtime is batty with wind.
Yeah, so Chicagoland.
Oh, yeah, we don't care about Chicago. Anyway,
yeah.
Things are good.
Billy Johnson, boxer, tactical, and admits the noise. Hey, Billy.
What's up, Jake? How you doing, man?
Doing good. Great to have you back. I guess you got your new website launched, right?
We did. 4 months in the making. It's like, you never can stop tweaking things, and finally one day you're like, okay, we better turn it on now.
Yeah.
It looks good, man.
Thanks, man. We're excited.
It's very, very chic.
Well, that's what we were going for. Like, when I thought about this, I'm like, Ebbs always uses the word chic, so how can we design a website around chic?
Also, the Honestly American t-shirts are super rad, and the Shorty key whips, digging them.
Thanks, man.
The red ones.
And your keychain goes well with those to whip those things around.
Yep, the hog fob.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employees. Your discretion is advised. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. You can check out the Just in Stock Make Your Own Damn Sandwich patch, which I am sporting on my ball cap this evening, as well as the new 1911 Vintage Firepower. If you pre-ordered any of these I'm showing, they are shipping tomorrow morning. They just came in tonight. And also the Rock, Paper, Scissors Buckshot pre-order is on. The brand new Blackout Edition Bullet Bill is in. And Her Lips are back in stock. And yeah, there's more pre-orders up on the site. We should have more new designs in by the end of the month. I think we're going to have 3 or 4 other new designs in as well. PatriotPatch.co. Don't forget to sign up for the email list. That gets you a chance to win a patch a month. We draw the winners from the email list, so sign up at PatriotPatch.co. New Patreon perks. If you support us through our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/week, at the $10 level, you get a chance to hang out with the hosts after the show a few times a month. So check that out, patreon.com/week. If you ever want to hang out with Russian Ed.
That is a super cool idea. Does anybody get to hang out tonight?
Not tonight. We haven't had anyone sign up.
Listen, if you guys are out there watching live, you can do this. We can make this happen tonight.
Listen, if you sign up now, you have time to put on makeups or tactical shirt for hangout.
Yeah, put on a chest rig and let's do this. It's get weird.
Chest rigs optional. Patreon.com/week. You can also find the link to Patreon at firearmsradio.tv. Just click This Week in Guns. It's right there at the top of the This Week in Guns page. So, announcement here coming up at the NRA show in Louisville here, just in what, a little over a month, month and a half? No, 2 months.
It's
I don't
in
know.
May.
It's in May.
It's almost 3, Jake. No,
Almost 3.
over 2.
Over 2.
In Russian math is 3.
So that Saturday night during the NRA show in Louisville, we are getting together for an FRN listener meetup. So I'll have a link in the show note to the meetup location, but 7 p.m. that night. Hope to see you there. Yeah, should be fun. So top stories this week, we're going to start with some positive stuff. Feds hand over $1.1 billion to wildlife agencies from firearms sales.
So good. That's so much money.
It's a ton of money. And so this has to do with funds collected through the Pittman Robertson Wildlife Restoration and Dingell Johnson Sport Fish Restoration programs, which have been mandated taxes leveled levied against the manufacturers of hunting and fishing equipment since 1937 and 1950, respectively. So these revenue streams can only be used to benefit the public recreation, education, and conservation.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I didn't know that existed. That's incredible.
Well, that's the excise tax that's built into ammunition and firearms. And forgive me if someone's listening, I can't remember if I want to say it's either 8% or 11% for some reason. I can't recall.
Okay.
And it's built into the cost, so the manufacturers pay that. And, I have a tough time with this because I'm an anti-tax guy. And and I know a lot of shooters, especially a lot of old-time guys, really, they think this tax is a particular positive tax because of where it goes. And so I'm conflicted with this because, I think that's great where it's going. Of course, there's been, they just released it. It's been a long time, it's been contested for a long time. And Fish and Game has definitely held some of the money back. There's been issues with that. But overall, I'm an anti-tax guy. So I'm conflicted about this.
Well, I think one of the biggest issues is that regardless of the amount of money, we have no way of knowing how this is actually being spent. Like, sure, it goes to one of these organizations, but are they spending it properly? Are they spending it wisely? Are they really doing what they're supposed to be doing? Because Lord knows the government is good at just wasting money on stupid stuff.
And excise tax, I think, are dangerous because they're hidden taxes, and consumers don't really understand that they're paying them, obviously. So they're paying this excise tax, and then they're paying a sales tax on top of that. And, I'm rather anti-regulation, anti-tax, so I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. I think, if all the taxes we pay throughout the year, if instead of it automatically being withheld or being built into the cost of goods and items and stuff, instead, if we all had to sit down at the end of each month and write a check out to the government and see how big that check is, I mean, this country would have a revolution.
Well, you think, if there were no withholdings on your paycheck, right? If withholdings were gone, like tomorrow,
Right.
Employer said, we cannot do withholdings anymore, and you actually had to physically write a check once a month to the government for your withholding, there would be a tax revolt in this country so quickly. That's why they did it. That's why excise tax exists. It's a way to tax hidden in the cost so people don't realize they're paying it. I digress.
Well, I don't want to do anything else right now except burn down government buildings, so...
And that's why this is positive stories.
It started out that way.
Well, I mean, it is cool to think there's that much money out there to be used for conservation, and the article does bring up a point that just by the fact of purchasing a gun or ammo makes you a conservationalist by default because of that built-in tax.
Well, yeah, I think there's this myth all along that gun owners somehow, it's interesting that the outdoors and nature have kind of been owned by the environmental movement, right? how you see these far left-leaning, groups have really claimed the outdoors, and some of the biggest conservationists I know who care about the outdoors and clean water and are hunters, are people that are out there that are walking through the woods that are trying to put a buck down to fill their freezer. So it's interesting how that's been owned by the left, and it's been relatively recently, really, like, the last 25, 30 years. And, I think the outdoor community is specifically fishermen and hunters are right there with any environmental group as far as caring about the outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to West Virginia. We had mentioned before how West Virginia had the Senate and the House had passed to allow constitutional carry basically without a permit. But it was, in the meanwhile, since last episode, it was vetoed by the governor. Maybe it was 2 episodes ago, but it was vetoed by the governor. But the Senate overrode the governor's veto, so West Virginia is now a constitutional carry state.
Is there anything more of a middle finger politically to the head of a state to override a veto?
Yeah, it's pretty great.
We're gonna do what we want, and I'm just because it's in my favor as far as what I think right now. I just think that of the word veto itself is, he's just gonna veto it, but then if you have the majority to be able to override a veto, that's just powerful. Can you imagine the governor slamming himself in his office and being like, well, I guess there's no point to me doing my job anymore. Just throwing a huge tantrum. Bring me my coffee. I want a latte.
I still find it. I think it's great for people living in West Virginia. I still find it absurd that we have to pass a law to do what the Constitution says we can do.
Yeah.
It's still so frustrating to me. I'm like, hey, we passed constitutional carry.
I feel like we had this discussion.
You had to pass a law to tell me I can do that?
And Billy said that same thing exactly 2 weeks ago. It's not actually constitutional because we have to create a law that says we can do this. No.
Yeah, I don't have to ask your permission. I'm sorry. Like, that was never the idea. I have to ask your permission? Really? Okay. Show me where it says that.
All right. Wounded Warrior Project's top executives reportedly fired amid lavish spending scandal. I think we had mentioned this, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, about some craziness going on at the Wounded Warrior Project and how they're a lot of their funds are not going to help wounded warriors.
This is the problem with most large charities, is a tremendous amount of their money goes to marketing to raise more money because they have to feed the monster. And I think you see this. I mean, that's why I say give your money to a small charity, a small organization that it's a lot easier for you to hold accountable. They're more transparent, and where 95, 98% of their money is going to the cause, and very, very little is going to administrative costs. I mean, if you can't keep the administrative costs, and I forgot what the rate is, it like under 7%, under 5% are considered like some of the top tier charities.
Yeah, and there's so many charities that is like 50% or something nuts like that. Right,
yeah, because they see all this money, and all of a sudden, I mean, it's greed, right? It's just what happens when it happens in politics, it happens in charities, it happens all over the place.
So it says, accordingly to the charities tax forms obtained by CBS News, spending on conferences and meetings went from $1.7 million, which is a ton, in 2010 to $26 million in 2014, which is about the same amount the group spends on combat stress recovery. So they're they're spending this on like meetings in the Caribbean, or what are they doing with all this dough?
I mean, regardless of whether it says meetings or not, I mean, they could be spending it on quote unquote a meeting and renting a $40,000 a week, condo for these guys to stay in and crap like that. You know what I mean? That's where this money is going, is into these guys' lifestyle. Like, oh, I'm an executive of a very successful charity, and I'm doing better than 99% of the people we're trying to help. It's pathetic.
It is pathetic. That's why I stopped supporting them a long time ago, especially when they were kind of going through that anti-gun phase where they didn't want to support. They didn't want their logo used on any gun merchandise. And that's when I really started looking into them. I'm like, these guys sound a lot like the Red Cross as far as spending way too much money on other things.
It's a great reference.
And I mean, it's a shame because this kind of stuff that you see with all of the big charities is the kind of stuff that makes people not want to donate. It hurts the smaller charities that are actually doing good things.
There are so many great small charities out there that are helping veterans, and people don't have to look far. Go on Facebook and look at some of the small charities out there. MARSOC Foundation, Navy SEAL Foundation. There are some really tiny little charities that are doing great things, and they're doing great things with a very small amount of money. I've supported the TACP Association for years, and what they do to support families of the fallen is amazing. And this is a small group of guys that are doing a tremendous amount with, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, not a lot of money. So it doesn't take a lot to be able to make a big impact in people's lives.
No, it doesn't. There's one charity I heard of a while back, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was, but that charity, 100% of their proceeds went to the cause because all their executives, everyone in the leadership roles, all donated their time. They were CEOs of other companies or stuff like that, but they all donated their time to this cause. So let's move on into even worse news. No. I'm not sure why these were in the positive news, but this article is really interesting. The ATF has revealed the number of registered machine guns. So these are guns that were in civilian transfer ownership made after or prior to 1986.
Yeah, so what I think is interesting about this, what are they? There are some guess numbers in here, so they're guesstimating around 500,000, right? I think they said they're
total.
Yeah, total around 500,000.
Transferables, there's only supposedly currently about 175,000 transferables, and sales and samples, or they may also call them pre-May keepers. There's only about 17,000 of those, and then restricted, there's 297,000 of those.
So when I read this, the first thing I thought is, wow, that's what they know about, right? Because we know there are a lot of machine guns out there that were never registered that are sitting in someone's attic, and I think you're going to see some interesting things happen as we see a whole generation of gun owners that own some very interesting firearms from the 30s, 40s, 50s. As they start to pass on, what's going to happen with those firearms? I mean, this just happened to a friend of mine where he did get a Class 3 firearm and had to go through a tremendous amount of paperwork to be able to keep that firearm. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen, I think, in the next 10 years.
And what's really kind of puts this into perspective is, when I used to get asked a lot at stores and stuff, I don't get asked this question too much anymore because the information's pretty readily available, but people used to say, I didn't know machine guns were available, and why are they so much money? I would compare an M16 to a Colt 6920 and be like, the 6920 is, in theory, a better gun because it's newer, and a little bit more, better machining and whatnot. And they would say, well, why is an M16 $25,000, $30,000? So, well, there's a finite number of them, and it's really interesting to me, as somebody that has a mild obsession with cool machine guns, to see the actual number, spread across the United States. That's not a lot. It's really not.
Well, and what's kind of sad here is that it says 10 years ago they released the number of transferables as around 182,000, and as of today that's down to 175,000.
I would clock that up to people passing away, guns failing, and them getting turned in or destroyed.
If you saw what you had to go through, like if you did not know a relative of yours owned a machine gun, and all of a sudden they pass on, and now you have to deal with it. I think there's a lot of people that would just say, maybe they might not be a gun person, right? They just say, I don't want this, take it. And then it goes in that crusher.
Yeah, it's sad.
I would say that a bunch of that type of person would also not know if it was a machine gun or not,
Right, good point.
Well, I just hope I buy a house someday from some old couple that have passed away and find a Thompson in the wall.
I'm hoping for a minigun in the wall, but you have your dreams, I'll have mine.
I'm just hoping for $1 million.
That too. Stag Arms, Stag Arms acquired by an investment capital firm.
Oh, good.
No surprises there. So we talked a little bit about Stag Arms being caught grossly negligent in their record-keeping situation over there, with over 100 full auto lower receivers and 3,000 unserialized lowers, all because a guy went on vacation or something.
Here's a question I have. Yeah, the one guy who knew how to do all that stuff. How many people, how many even gun guys that their main source of information is the little gun shop in their town, who has stocked Stag for the past 15 years, and they have no reason to think that anything has happened, anything has gone on, and as far as they're concerned, they swear by Stag AR-15s, right?
That's such a good point.
The M4, just the standard carbine, that was the first AR they bought. Felt like it was a great rifle. Then, 10 years ago or 8 years ago or something, Stag announces a 3-gun model, and at the beginning of that craze, and it's got a free float handguard, and so that's the next Gen 2 type AR, we'll call it, that he bought, and none of this information has got there. That little shop, and even in a decent sized town, maybe that shop owner is more concerned because distributors are still have Stags in stock, or maybe they're still even buying them or whatever. They don't know, and then a new investment property comes in and says, no, we're going to buy Stag and you're going to keep going, and then because they cleaned house or because people left or because of the legal issues, everything turns over, and then Stag just starts putting out garbage guns. Like, what do we... I say all that to say this. What do we think is the possibility that this has been a big deal to us, and we've been talking about it a long time, dating all the way back to when it had happened, ATF kept it quiet, then the story broke that they were fraudulent with all of these unmarked receivers, and we've known about this, but I just wonder what percentage of people, or maybe even fans of that brand, think regarding their most favorite AR-15 platform. Is this something that's, now is the circulation going to become, well, Stag guns used to be good, and they don't even know any of the stuff that happened? Or that's just kind of thinking out loud in regards to this, our online gun culture reality.
That's why Bushmaster's so popular, for that exact same reason.
Because of what they used to be. These guys, they don't know anything about Freedom Group. They don't know anything about moving from Wyndham to Ilion.
Right.
Well, and then when you go to a store like Cabela's and stuff, that's what you see, right?
Yep.
That's what you see everywhere.
Still see the brand, the big posters, all that stuff. You don't know anything about Wyndham weaponry, and then somebody hands you a Wyndham gun and says, they're like, well, what's that? I've never heard of these guys. Well, these guys are old Bushmaster. Well, what do you mean? You got Bushmaster sitting right over there. Well, those aren't regular Bushmasters.
Well, I mean, you put a Wyndham Carbon 15 next to a Bushmaster Carbon 15, they look identical. I mean, they're making the same damn guns.
No, because the Bushmaster has the exposed low-profile gas block, and the Wyndhams have a Picatinny. So they were different. It was like the DPMS.
Yeah, but the difference there is not enough for most people to go, oh, that's a completely different gun. I wonder if that's made by the same company. You have to understand that these people that may or may not know about this type of information, it's the same type of people that would not know that Colt is a piece of crap nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, these people, one, are people that do not care. They just want to shoot their guns, they want to enjoy it, and that's it, and that's okay. It's just this, it's the same type of person that's not interested in politics. They just want to live their life and get by, and they hope that the same company that's been making good stuff that they bought years ago is the same as it used to be. I think a lot of consumers, at least older guys and guys out in the suburbs, they tend to just live their lives. And I think the younger crowd is the kind of crowd that's consuming content like what we're doing right now, or the stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis, on social media. It's two different markets and consumers at the end of the day.
Armslist case sent back to Wisconsin court. This is a case involving murder of...
One thing I just saw here in this article, the company that bought Stag, White Wolf Capital, currently owns majority stakes in Aero Precision, Ballistic Advantage, and VG6 Precision. This is a company that's doing good things right now. So, we're sitting here, talking about the possibility of a bad gun. Aero's not bad, Ballistic's not bad, VG6 isn't bad. Could be a good thing for Stag.
They're buying them because they know the penetration that Stag has in the retail market, right?
Yeah, they've got the name.
It's the same as the grocery store. People buy brands because they have shelf space. It's no different than guns. They have shelf space, so they're valuable.
Right.
So, they're in Cabela's. So, are we done?
Yeah.
Okay. Armslist case sent back to Wisconsin court. This involves a murder case, 2012 death of Xenia Danielle Halton, where her husband bought a gun via a Armslist deal. He found a seller of a firearm and made the purchase in person. He was actually issued a restraining order a few days prior to that, which made him prohibited from possessing firearms, which he then went and to the workplace of his wife, killed her, two of her co-workers, and 4 others were injured. And now there's a lawsuit that argues Armslist is liable for her death because it created a marketplace where her husband was able to buy a gun.
Yeah, because, eBay murders people through knife sales. Shut up. This is the same idiot bull crap that, they're blaming ammo and gun companies for the deaths that criminals, perpetrate. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And this is what you get for marrying a dude named Radcliffe.
That's terrible.
That's a fantastic stereotype.
This is a strategy that has worked in the past in other industries. All the cigarette cases, started with cases like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's these litigations that these lawyers, attorneys that are trying for cases like this, that is their big dream here, is to have some kind of giant Marlboro type settlement in the gun world.
So I will tell you a little quick story here. And you're absolutely right, Jake. This is a lawyer's dream, and they're always looking for this. I was working on a project for a long time about dealing with energy, and it dealt with the potential of a couple big companies stifling a specific technology that would have ultimately manipulated prices for generations. And I was telling a lawyer about this, and the first thing that popped in his mind, before I even finished the idea, the first thing that popped in his mind is like, wonder if I could do a class action lawsuit. And that's the way these guys think, right? And I guarantee you, right? It's the tobacco people, and it's the same lawyers, and they're looking at the firearms world, and they're trying to see if they can sue people, because there's nothing more valuable than suing people when an unfortunate murder or death is involved. It's the worst. I mean, it's the best situation to sue someone. And I feel horrible for this woman's family and for the people killed, but it's no different than going after Bacardi when someone drinks at a bar and goes out and kills someone in a drunk driving accident. I mean,
let me add something else to anybody listening who, you hear a story like this and you think, oh crap, what is my argument? I have no argument here. This is right. This happened, and there's we should have been able to do more to stop it. Here's what we have to always remember and always understand. Laws don't protect people. People protect people, and other people harm people. People intending to do harm will do harm regardless of what law says or what court order says. If these people are planning malice, it will come to fruition regardless of what the tool is. And that's the type of thing that we're facing here because of face-to-face sale that somebody who by law was not allowed to buy a gun did, and then broke the law.
That could have been an ad in the classified section in the newspaper. So would they be suing the newspaper because that guy called the phone number in the newspaper?
I mean, what's the precedent on this in the firearms industry? Have we seen? I mean, there's nothing that pops into my head that says, yeah, a gun manufacturer was held liable for this sort of stuff. I think that trend, has tapered off largely. I mean, we saw that kind of crap with McDonald's and hot coffee and all that, but I don't think I've seen it in recent years. I think we're seeing a trend that is kind of going the opposite way. Would you guys agree, or am I missing something?
They're still trying, though. They haven't succeeded. I mean, because it's a domino effect once they succeed.
Well, it sets a huge precedent in the firearms industry. Once the manufacturer becomes held liable for the actions of someone else, we have set a massive precedent in the gun industry, and every manufacturer out there is going to get sued immediately.
So there's also, I didn't put it in the show notes for this week, but there's also a wrongful death suit filed against Remington, Browning, and Vista Outdoors.
There you go.
For a 2014 death of a guy named Fallon Watson. So, yeah, it seems to be heating up again. I'll put that in the show notes as well. But hopefully,
a lot of these things can be dismissed, but it still puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the business having to defend themselves, and sometimes they can sue back for their legal fees. But when you have someone like a Bloomberg who can throw $50 million at organizations to prop them up to sue people, it is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on small businesses, because we have this illusion that the firearms industry, that all these gun makers are such huge companies. They're really not. The gear that goes with the firearms is a much bigger business than the actual firearms themselves. These aren't these aren't 10, 20 companies. And so having to defend yourself against a lawsuit and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees will ultimately it's going to hurt your bottom line.
So I should mention there is the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act in the United States, which is a law that protects firearms manufacturers and dealers from being held liable when crimes have been committed with their products.
Right. That doesn't mean that I still can't sue you.
Right, and it looks like
we saw it with.
It looks like the tact they may be taking now is that they're not going after crimes, after criminal acts, but after negligent acts that cost a life.
It's all lawyer nonsense. That's really what it's gonna. Who's got the better lawyers?
I'm sorry, Billy. I cut you off there.
No, and to prove negligence. Okay, so now you're going to say I'm going to go after the guy in the store that sold the gun. So you have to really prove that this guy did something, that he knew this person was going to commit a crime, right? That somehow there's video evidence of the person in the store saying, "Hey, I'm buying this gun because I'm going to go kill someone." I mean, that's a really hard thing to prove. It doesn't mean I can't file a lawsuit against you. I can go file a lawsuit against Ebbs tomorrow if I wanted to. It doesn't mean I'm going to win.
Please don't. You're smarter than me. Yeah. Please don't.
So this is what happens when you get a lot of people with a lot of money. And this is, again, going back to my thing about defending the Second Amendment in the marketplace. And I made a video about that a couple years ago. Defending it on Facebook, defending it in the marketplace, because this is the target now. I'm going to go after Facebook. I'm going to go after gun dealers. I'm going to destroy the Second Amendment in the marketplace. And that I was laughed. People, when I brought up this argument a couple years ago, they were like, "You're crazy. That's not libertarian ideals." No. Who says I can't defend my rights in the marketplace, right? I can choose to not do business with someone. I can tell them what an anti-American company you are and how I don't believe in your principles. I can defend it in the marketplace. But this is a real strategy of the anti-gun community. It's to attack the Second Amendment in the marketplace. And people are sleeping, and they think nothing's happening. And I see a lot of people saying, we're beating them, we're beating them. No, we are not beating them. I pay very close attention to these people. They are very well organized, and they have a lot of money. So wake up and do something.
Pro-gun Florida mom is accidentally shot by her 4-year-old son.
It's pretty sad.
So they're chalking this girl up as like they called her a poster child for gun rights or something.
Yeah, I guess she had like a Facebook community, Jamie Gilt for Gun Sense, and like she posted a lot of pro-gun stuff and talked about taking her son shooting and stuff like that. But somehow, driving down the road, her 4-year-old son got a hold of her .45 caliber. I don't know if it was this Kimber here pictured, but got a hold of that and shot her in the back as she was driving down the road.
Just pure negligence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stupid here. Her kid climbed out of the car seat, first of all. I mean, her kid was buckled in the car seat, so climbed out of the car seat, and then how the hell did the kid get a hold of the gun? I would say, if you're going to carry a loaded gun, it should be on your person, period.
Mm-hmm. Silencers are not just for hitmen anymore. Well, at least according to Reuters.
We're not going to talk about that gun being a Kimber, or like we're just moving on that fast?
I said it was probably a Kimber.
It's garbage.
Moving along. So yeah, interesting. Reuters has a article about the gun industry. They want looser rules on silencers, and they talk about the silencer boom in the last 5 years. They got an infographic here on how silencers have grown dramatically in the industry.
I just love how they pose that as if they know something about what suppressors are actually used for because they've seen them used in movies. And so we get a headline on the story that already shows a sarcastic and condescending slant towards the fact that the gun industry feels that silencers being classified as NFA items is complete bonkers. Anyway, that's my attitude towards that.
Well, I think you got to think. I'm someone who didn't grow up with guns. I didn't really know a whole lot of guns until I educated myself, and pretty much everything I had known about firearms from before I started educating myself was from entertainment, right? And I would say that, that's probably still a good 50% of the country.
Yeah.
Probably really know nothing about firearms, and everything they know about firearms they get from the evening news and their favorite television show.
Yeah, and you have to get past the little infographic that shows the increase in sales year to year since 2010. But there is actually good information in the article. It's a Reuters article, but in the article describing that even though they're silencers, you have to go to intelligent levels of preparation in order to get it to be quiet, like movie quiet. I mean, if you're firing a full-powered supersonic round, you can hope that it's just going to be hearing safe. It's not going to be like a little, sound like a little SBD fart or something like that.
I just did some quick math. They say that about 792,000 subscribers, silencers, I guess were sold as of February of this year, last year. The quick math on that is about $158 million in tax stamp revenue. $158 million in tax stamp revenue for 1 year.
Well, John, someone's got to pay the ATF salaries.
Justify.
Yeah, we don't want them. We don't want them to be out of work.
Well.
All right, let's talk about the next big gun or iPhone or something. Little gun causes big flap, and it's not even in stores yet. Ideal conceals the name of a 2-round capacity 380 Derringer made to look like a smartphone.
I just bought one off Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow. I'll let you know.
I emailed this company, and they're kind of weirdos. Like, they totally didn't respond in a normal way. I was like, hey, can I get some more info because their website's terrible? And they were just, I don't know, it was like really vague, and I guess I think that this is like way early, and they just released a rendering, and that's what is kind of causing all this craziness.
It's slated for mid.
This is a Bloomberg scam. This is another one of those. They're making a video now. You're going to be in it, John.
Oh, it's slated for production mid-2016. You probably can pre-order it soon. Although, won't this qualify as open carry if you click this to your belt like a phone?
I asked Crowd about this because I was concerned that this would be like an AOW or something like that, because it's I would almost put this in the same as like wallet guns and belt buckle guns, but he said no, it's not, because it's not far off of, it actually, I guess it's supposed to look like a gun. I don't know the regulations. He would be able to speak on it, but I don't know. It's weird. It's probably terrible. Let's be fair.
Well, and I mean, can you picture trying to shoot your phone? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Well, it folds out.
Here.
It folds out, dude. There's a grip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look at if you go to their Facebook page, you can see a rendering with what looks to be the world's most uncomfortable pistol grip.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So if you want to take a selfie and pop a cap.
Well, we have a story about that in the full auto.
I'm so excited. Somebody probably shot themselves.
Yeah, this makes me think of those cell phone cases from China that are like a pistol grip for your cell phone.
I can't think of anything that's not really like stereotypical and racist about that Chinese thing.
Okay. We're going to move on. So, armed citizen arrested after shooting at fleeing shoplifter.
Well, there's your problem.
And yes, it may sound like we talked about the story before, but no, this is a new person. Nathan Williams, 23, stole some merchandise, and it looks like it was from a Barnes and Noble, maybe.
No, it's from a store called City Gear,
Oh,
clothing
okay.
and shoe store.
Must be near Barnes and Noble, but he fled, and concealed carrier Christopher Jones witnessed the fiasco and chased after him, drew his handgun, and fired a shot into the ground as a warning shot to try to scare Williams. But Williams, unscathed by the warning shot, just kept running.
Yeah, how to get somebody to run away faster? Shoot
How
at
is-
their feet.
How
Damn,
is
boy.
They're saying he shot at the person. He shot at the ground. Like that's not the way this works.
There's so much that's just stupid about this. First of all, I didn't even know Barnes and Noble was still in business. Second of all,
Burn.
yeah, like when people are shoplifting, right? Don't be a hero. I'm sorry. Go tell someone in the store. Let them go. Call the cops. There's no reason to be chasing after someone when they're taking a book from Barnes and
Yeah,
Noble,
you're taking
especially if you're going to pull your gun and shoot them. You're an idiot. Okay? Pull your gun and shoot someone when your life is in jeopardy, not when someone steals a book and runs away.
Well, I think this goes back to a person's mindset and what they've thought about. And obviously, I think this guy that shot the warning shot has thought about being the hero, being the guy that stops the bad guy. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thought it was his chance. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't, I'm not going to second guess the situation. I would just say,
I mean, I think that's why some people may get their concealed carry permits, because they think it's cool that they can carry a gun. It's not really about the defensive aspect. It's more kind of the cool factor in that they can be the sheriff, quote unquote.
yeah, I would say that person exists, both, someone who might have their permit to carry, might not, and someone who maybe even hates guns. That person might exist in every type of, personality out there. But, I have a gun with me to protect my life, my family's life, and if by chance someone who is immediately around me who might have their life in jeopardy, I do not carry a gun to be a hero. Now, that's not saying if I don't see someone getting beat up in the parking lot, I might not step up. I'd have to assess every situation. But I'm going to tell you, if I see someone stick a book down their pants and walk out of a Barnes & Noble, I'm not going to chase after them and pull my gun on them. It's not who I am. It's just not why I carry a gun. And I just don't think it's smart. And it gives gun owners a bad name.
You just don't know how strongly this paperback warrior felt about books. And
Paperback warrior.
he's
like, first Amazon and now this.
Yeah, he obviously felt robbed of his reading situation, and not just the store getting robbed too. He was angry that the
guy was stealing a romance novel.
His warm and cuddly Afghan experience in front of the fireplace at the coffee shop in there got foiled. So,
okay, moving on. Teen Vogue has jumped on the bandwagon of campaigning with major corporate sponsors about, all things anti-gun. Did you guys watch this Teen Vogue video?
Oh, it's crispy delicious.
You want to run us through it, Ebbs?
So here's what they do. They're trying to convince us that guns don't belong on college campuses, okay? That had to have been what they set out to do. And there's a whole laundry list of companies who sponsored this ad, and I think you'll be interested to see some pretty big names on there. But they start off the video by listing ridiculous things. So I feel like this completely backfires. They start the video, the first half or 3/4 of the video, most of the video, is college-y looking students showing us things that have been banned from dorms or from college campuses for ridiculous reasons. Microwaves, George Foreman grill, plants because of allergy issues, Glade plugins, extension cords, all of these things that you're like, okay, here we are continuing adolescence. We're not transitioning people to adulthood by allowing them to just take their safety and the safety of others into their own consideration. So they have all of these list of ridiculous banned things. And then I'm watching it, and they're handing these things to people, and then they start handing them a Glock. So they start handing out Glock 19s, and they don't know how to hold it, except one girl who they gave a Chiappa Rhino to, and she holds it by like the butt of the grip, like it was just sitting on a toilet seat. She found
Like
it
a
in a
dirty
bathroom
sock.
stall. Yeah, it's just she's holding it away from her like it has leukemia, and she can't handle it. And then they go on, and the one guy's like, the only guns I need on this college campus are these guns. And he holds up his arms, and they're like nice little twiggy-looking arms. And then they have everybody tear off their sleeves or roll up their sleeves, and then they do a hashtag guns out. That's their hashtag for the video, guns out. And I'm trying. It baffles me, the producer of this video, how he thought it was a great idea to show ridiculous things that were banned from schools, and then like bring guns into it as if it's not a ridiculous thing to have banned from schools to allow people to use also. Like they try to transition. It's ridiculous. We're not allowed to have these things, but in 15 states they're debating over whether or not college campuses you should be allowed to carry.
Dude, it's the same crap as always. Well, this is banned, so this ought to be banned. F my freedoms and F my freedoms.
Yeah.
The type of person this is going after is not somebody with common sense. This is meant for an impressionable youth audience.
When's the last time someone defended their life with a microwave?
Or a panini
You don't
press.
know how many attackers potentially have pacemakers.
I think we had a full auto story about how some roommate thought his friend turned into a zombie while watching a zombie show, and I think he beat him to death with a microwave.
I remember that, but
just
that's
throwing
not.
that out
That's
there.
using it as a weapon. That's not really defending himself.
Offensive,
really high.
defense, still a weapon. Ban microwaves.
But the point is that this is the same asinine stuff that it's always been. I think we need to start creating social campaigns against these nonsense campaigns. I have a green screen. If you guys want to come over, let's do some stuff.
Oh,
have you guys seen the Facebook page Moms Against Cars?
No.
It's pretty good. I mean, I don't know who runs it, but I just saw it the other day and I started following it. Moms Against Cars, yeah. There's a lot of that stuff we could play on.
We need to talk about some of these sponsors here: Toyota, JetBlue, Coca-Cola, Sprint, 3M, Yahoo, ESPN, PN, ABC, CBS. These are mainstream companies behind DoSomething.org, and their board members also consist of people from JetBlue, LinkedIn, AOL, News Corp, which owns the New York Post, and J.P. Morgan Chase. And it goes on. Their corporate committee includes reps from ESPN, Johnson & Johnson, HSBC, AARP, Coach, Citibank, Discover, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't see that as a problem because DoSomething.org is like hey, if you're bored and want to protest something, come with us. We'll give you something to do for no money. You can waste your time with us. Because you click on their website, it says they have 5 million and change members, and then the first drop-down is cause. What are you passionate about? Animals, bullying and violence, disasters, discrimination, education, environment, health, homelessness and poverty, and sex and relationships.
Can I pick all the above?
Right. Like I am definitely I am passionate about sex and relationships. I am
Well,
passionate about animals. Come on. Like what? It's
I love when
ridiculous.
people claim membership, and I'm like, what does it take to be a membership? I got to click a like on a web page because that's not membership to me. Membership is you ponying something up, you anteing up in the kitty, right? You're taking part in this. I guarantee you, 5 million people are not paying something in that organization.
Of course not.
There's no way.
Right. And like I was saying, these corporate sponsors are like, you know what? We're going to get involved with this because this is a direct channel for marketing to these kids that are out there trying to protest. This is not about politics at all with these companies. It's not. It's about getting their products to these people that are impressionable and stupid enough to think that protesting via a website is going to make something change.
Here's the one thing I will say about this, which you see in a common thread, and which disturbs me the most, is this is Teen Vogue or whatever, right? They're a publication. They're exercising their First Amendment rights, right? The government cannot pass a law to limit the speech that Teen Vogue sends out to the world. So here's a company that is embracing one of the most important American values, which is free speech, freedom of expression. They're using that freedom to advocate against another precious right, the right to defend yourself, the one that is second on the list right after freedom of expression. So what I want to say to them is you're a bunch of anti-American scumbags, that you're advocating against the second thing on the list while using the first thing on the list. And I have zero respect for you. And we see this time and time again in publications all across the board. And that's what I see when I see this. And that's what actually ticks me off more than anything.
All right, we got to keep moving. We got
Next.
a lot to cover still. Ballistic MRS for manly off-body carry. Russian Abs has been requested to describe the ballistic
I don't
MRS.
know. If you're men and you want purse, but not for lipstick, for gun, you get Bob.
What is the Bob?
It is the ballistic off-body bag.
Whoa. You can't just jump out of character that easy.
Oh, listen, I wasn't, like, this was, you can't start ordering Russian ebs in the show notes, Jake. Like, you can't just start saying, this time you be Russian, this time you be regular American gun reviewer ebs. It doesn't, the spontaneity is ruined, and I think about it too much.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So,
Please forgive me.
Yeah, sorry for jumping out of character like that.
You're a disappointment to the family.
You have conversation with self in living room on computer with other gun nerds, and then talk like American.
So which of you guys would carry a MRS to be able to carry a gun in some situation?
No. We were talking about this actually before we aired, and Billy brought up a good point that this is Progressive Force Concepts, who's marketing this, isn't necessarily just blasting this out to the general public. It's actually very sort of quote-unquote mission-specific tools to need to carry a gun off-body in such a way. It's not just we're not just throwing it out to the Guns and Ammo crowd or everyday CCW group going, listen, men, the best option for you to carry a firearm is in a man bag or a purse or a MRS or a shoulder bag or anything like that. It's intended for people who use guns to work with or in a specific defense industry or something like that. And I am not that person. Personally. Me, I am not that person, so I am not going to invest in one, although I'm sure that the guys who demonstrate its use in the video, so if you're looking at the show notes, you want to go look at the Ballistic MRS or the Bob, the guys that are repping it are much harder men than I am.
I think the concept is pretty interesting. It's basically like a bag about the size of an iPad, like a large iPad, and it's got an external panel that's Velcroed on. You rip that down, and that exposes your firearm. The lower panel, the panel you rip down, actually has a piece of what appears to be soft body armor in it. And then the storage, if you want to use it for normal storage, that's in the middle. You're not really obstructing that. I think that's kind of interesting, and there is certainly a case to be had for quote unquote carrying in non-permissive environments and things like that with sling bags and yada yada yada. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think that for the guys that do this kind of stuff on a regular basis, stuff's pretty cool, right?
So it also shows them drawing from like a real Kydex holster inside there, not just a pouch.
Right.
Which I like that. I mean, there's a lot of bag carry options that are kind of a one-size-fit-all pouch type deal, and I think this having a Kydex form-fitted solution's way better. So let's move on to, although we lost two of our panel here.
It's just you and me, Jake.
No,
Let's
I'm
go.
here.
Just okay. So let's move on to the Hitchhiking with a 357 Magnum mini documentary. This guy shot out in Oregon State, summer of 2015, where he hitchhikes from his home to his grandfather's funeral and back home. The trip spans 2 days and 420 miles, and all the while he's carrying a 357 Magnum, and his, I guess, goal here is to see kind of how it goes. Will people pick him up while he's open carrying? And he lets everyone know before he gets a ride. He's like, "Hey, I'm open carrying here. I'm armed. Is that okay?"
Yeah, the one thing I notice about this, Jake, is someone out there, please send this man a good holster.
Yeah, that Uncle Mike's with the hole worn in it.
Oh, I was like, buddy.
Dear
he's
Jesus.
like jogging after cars to get a ride, and I'm like, that gun is gonna fly right out of that holster.
Yeah.
I will personally give it. If somebody sends this guy my way, I will personally get him a holster. No questions.
I'll pay for a nice custom SP101 holster for him with a little bit of retention. That's not.
I'm gonna tell you what, John. You put that segment on your show, and you will make that guy's video go viral.
So let's get past the Uncle Mike's, because this guy's just like a very, I think, average gun guy. He's not like a,
He lives in the woods.
Oregon man lives in cabin away from human interaction. And
Who does this guy remind you of?
He seems happy. I mean, I feel for the guy. He seems like a really nice guy. Here's my beef. I don't pick up hitchhikers. I could care less if he had a gun or not. I typically don't stop for hitchhikers. So
yeah, here's my thought too. That goes perfect with that. Think of you have people who hitchhike, and then you have people who pick up hitchhikers. Okay, so the latter, people who pick up hitchhikers, they've made the decision to pull over and basically like base jump into the unknown. That's what they're doing. They're
right.
like, yeah, I don't need a parachute this time, so I'm just gonna pull over, and we're gonna roll the dice. And so they've already done that when they pull over. So the initial shock of potentially what's this person gonna be like is mixed in with, oh, by the way, I have a 357 Magnum that I'm open carrying. Are you okay with that? The odds are that person, that type of person that's going to be pulled over, by the way, if you are listening and you are that type of person, I admire you. You have cojones galore. they're not going to be that surprised and they're not going to be that freaked out. I mean, can we just agree that, the headline, hitchhiking with a 357 Magnum, you just go, oh, okay, I just automatically assume every hitchhiker I see on the side of the road has a 357 Magnum anyway.
See, I just assume they have an axe that's already dripping with blood.
Like they've got one of those RMJ custom tomahawks.
So, real quick, I want to take a second to describe the appearance of this man. So think back to early Lollapalooza, and what you may have assumed was the roadie for Pearl Jam.
No.
Jane's Addiction, perhaps?
I could Alice in Chains. I mean,
yeah.
So this guy is old school Lollapalooza in a walking format.
I mean, I really like him. He's a really good-hearted guy. It's really an entertaining documentary to watch. It's only about 13 minutes long. I really encourage anyone to watch it.
He's actually also really well spoken.
Really? Okay.
It's worth noting. He every person that he talks to, and he talks about, yes, I have this. Here's why I do that. It's for the peace, protection, and prosperity for the American people, or for I'm exercising my First Amendment right by creating this documentary, and I'm protecting it with the Second Amendment right by open carrying a 357 Magnum. And so he has sort of a mantra that he goes through in different sequences with different people, and he's also not in. Please, if you're an open carry person, do not take this the wrong way. But from the criminalizing of the open carry movement people we've seen in the media and the inflammatory nature they can typically behave in, he absolutely is not like that at all.
Yeah, that's an impression I really got too. Like the part of what this guy is what the open carry movement should be, maybe, rather than what we've seen.
Maybe not well, I won't say that.
The one thing he does lose a letter grade on shooting the whole thing in portrait. I want to be like, come on, turn the phone sideways. It's not that hard, people.
Yeah.
Turn your phone sideways.
I love that he's hitchhiking. Or I assume that he doesn't have a vehicle or doesn't have a vehicle that can make the 400-mile journey, but he has a smartphone that he can record a documentary on. That's 2016 personified, I think.
Go to the jungles of India, and I will tell you what you will find. You'll find a bunch of tents and everybody outside with smartphones.
Like little solar-powered rigged chargers.
Yep. A little panel on a hut. And everybody in the neighborhood's plugged in.
But this, I don't know, I got a kick out of this. It was really hilarious because this guy would have people pull up and like he'd be like running and out of breath, and he's like, I'm armed. You cool with that? 357. He's like pointing to his gun, and the guy's like, oh yeah, hop in. And there's several guys that they're just like, oh yeah, hop in, no problem. So check it out. It's link is in the show notes. Let me know what you guys think about it. Your opinion.
He seems like a nice guy. I would definitely buy the guy a beer if I saw him. He definitely seems like you watch that thing, you're like, okay, yeah, this guy's he's just kind of loving life.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are to the I'm offended section. I'm not necessarily offended, but somebody here is offended. So Germany bans sausages to keep from offending Muslims. Thank God.
Let them into your country, then take over your country because you don't want to offend them. Like, welcome here. Oh, sorry, we'll change ourselves even though you chose to move here.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what I'm offended by, Jake? I'm gonna tell you this.
What's that?
Our own friend Natalie Foster, who is a frequent panelist on the show, ditched us tonight to appear with Dr. Drew on TV.
I know.
Sharing about the mom whose 4-year-old shot her in the back.
Well, I guess we're not good enough. But Natalie will be on next week sharing about something.
I'm offended that we weren't good enough this week. But whatever, let's go back to the actual stories.
The lady here, the chancellor of some person in this article in Germany, reminds me of the lady from Beer Fest that likes to warm up sausages with her hands. Oh, you want some sausages?
Okay.
Warm them up for you.
Moving on, let's talk about the bungee holster, the revolution in handgun carry. Everyone will be carrying with a bungee holster in 2017.
I secretly hope that there is some sort of implications soon to using words like revolutionary and game-changing and dynamic and whatever. Oh gosh, I can't even keep up with them all anymore. That people are using to describe their products.
Well, everything is all of the above at Patriot Patch Company.
Okay.
I'm just saying. John, can you describe to me the bungee holster?
I mean, I'm trying not to curse. It is quite possibly, we saw some really interesting holsters this year. I've talked about most of them, most of these atrocities to mankind. We've seen the EAA Abdo, which is a post in a box, quite literally. We've seen, I forget the name of the last one.
The wallet one?
There was the one that goes down in your pants, and then when you pull it up, it throws the gun across the room.
That was so good.
There was another one where you stuck a peg inside the muzzle, and it was very similar to this. I don't remember what that was called.
Versa carry?
Yeah.
No, this one was like a rubber band with a peg on it.
Oh,
and,
right.
and the video had the guy like sticking his finger in the muzzle of a loaded gun. That was good. And then this guy has basically said, you know what? I don't need a peg. I just need a rubber band and nothing protecting the gun in any way.
Shot cord and you're good, and a lighter.
This is as if some kid was like he watched his kid playing with a Nerf gun one day, and he like rubber banded the gun to his arm or something. He was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea for a holster. Guess what, fella? Put some shoes on. This is not a good idea.
Fella? Oh, gosh.
It's a train wreck. It's basically just a rubber band that wraps around your belt and the gun. That's it.
You sure we're not being trolled?
Yeah, I'm not sure. These are about as clever as the clips that they want you to bolt to the side of your gun and then shove.
Oh, those guys are serious though.
Shove the bare gun into the inside of your pants with the trigger completely exposed.
Yeah, real quick, let me point out that that video, the bungee holster, has been taken down on their Facebook page, and they posted some other video in its place. If you want to see the original, you can go to the Gun Collective Facebook page, because I downloaded that and reposted it because internet. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, that's going up. Yeah, that's happening.
They're not going to be able to get rid of this.
I'm going to make it permanent.
Put some shoes on.
Well, he doesn't have shoes on in the video. It's like, seriously, bro? What's with the guys? The last like 4 or 5 holster videos that have been atrocities, the guys are wearing like a plain white T-shirt and jeans, and it's like an undershirt that's tucked in. Like, what kind of person is this? Can we have a descriptive word for this?
You're putting me on the spot. I feel like
no. I'm just saying in general. Like, I would like to be able to describe this human being, but it's awful. And there's a moth.
What was the word for in Borat the town rapist? wasn't it like a gherkin or like something like that? I feel like that could be a good word to recycle. Oh, we got this gherkin over here trying to sell us a Rubberman as a holster.
All right, as always, there's too many stories to cover this week. There's an overflow section. You can check it out in the show notes. Don't forget to support us via Patreon. $10 level per episode gives you the chance to talk about these stories and after show. You can contribute. Go ahead.
You can get precedence for suggesting names for that type of human being if you donate to Patreon. We will put you to the top of the list.
That's right.
You can oust the name Gherkin.
You can say, nay, I don't want it to be Gherkin. It'll be a Steve. That's you. That's all. Hey, if you support the show, we'll do that for you.
Absolutely. Patreon.com/week. You can contribute also to the show and the Firearms Radio Network by shopping our Amazon affiliate link. You can bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon and contribute to the show every time you buy something off Amazon. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call it their own. Who's ready?
I'll go, Jake.
Billy.
So I don't know how many of you saw the video of the cabbie being robbed by a gunman. It was a passenger that he had picked up, and cabbie has the window open. I think this was in Philly, wasn't it, John?
You know, I don't know. I didn't see that. It might have been.
Okay, I kind of think it was, but I could be wrong on that. So and this is from the cab driver has a camera like on his dash. The guy sticks his hand through the window, puts the gun to the cabbie's head, and is demanding the money. Meanwhile, the light turns green. Cabbie doesn't go, right, because he's dealing with the guy with a gun to his head. You see through the back of the car, and you see the cop car. There's a cop car right behind this guy at the light. So the light turns red. The cabbie didn't go. So the cop flips on his lights. He's like, what the heck's going on? Why didn't this cabbie go? As he walks up to the car, he can hear the cabbie say, just please don't shoot me. And then the cop realizes what's going on, draws his firearm, and arrests the suspect. So I'm like, how perfect is this? When you're looking at the camera, you guys have got to watch this video and get the show notes. You see the cop just step out of the car, flip the lights on. It's like unbelievable. It's so perfect. It couldn't be more stupid criminals. I mean, this is definitely going to make some show of stupid criminals.
So I did a little digging while you were talking, and it was actually in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is sometimes thought of as a more violent and dangerous place than Philadelphia. And I was actually there earlier today.
What's interesting, this guy's like, he has his hoodie all pulled down, and then he's wearing, looks like a surgical mask pulled up over his face. I want to know, did he get in the car that way? Because I would never pick up a person in a sunny day like that has his face covered like that.
Yeah.
And here's even more stupid criminal. If he got in the car and then the camera had a perfect shot of his face, then he puts his hoodie on and covers his face. Like you see these criminals that walk in the bank, and then they cover their head up. Genius. The camera's just got your face, buddy.
So good.
It is. This is a great video. I mean, I feel horrible for the cabbie, and it turned out to be a pellet gun, and which doesn't really matter because I don't think anybody wants to take a pellet point blank to the skull. But glad the guy caught the guy, and I'm sure he is going to do some serious time. At least I hope he does.
All right, Abs, you ready?
There's this one about the Pentagon finally designing women-specific combat gear, which is, yeah, it's kind of interesting. The garments, overgarments, and armor that's kind of being shifted to have the female form in mind. Which and the only reason I clicked on this is because I've always, anytime I've seen lady soldiers, infantry, or on patrol or whatever, and they're wearing armor, I always think that has to be like major smush city on the boobs in a bad way, like that heavy armor just completely just smashing them in. And I've always wondered, based on movies, because I watch movies, that can't we shape some of this armor to give them like gladiator type looking stuff. Like
Yeah, I mean, let's protect the boobs.
if we can create gladiator armor that can enhance pectoral and abdominal appearance in the movies, obviously, then shouldn't we have the technology to be able to do this? But it goes even further. Like they're implementing programs that will allow troops' sperm and eggs, so that's men and women, to have them cryogenically frozen before deployment. So if an injury were to happen that would harm reproductive organs, then they could still have kids after. But then they go so far as to describe. Let me read a quick paragraph from here. For close to a decade, the armor issued to women deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq had been primarily designed with men in mind. You don't say. They're vested and fit to their curves. Items carried on the torso were shifted to the shoulders because of their size, and groin protectors were more to protect outside organs, such as testicles and the penis, than ovaries, which sit higher in the abdomen. Yes, we understand the different location between ovaries and the penile assembly of men. Okay, so then they talk about the need for change, and the interesting thing to me is that all of the people that they're interviewing, all these Pentagon people and Army officers that they're interviewing are women only, which we get the differences, but it's as if for validity of it, they're like, let's not put any men on this. They'll think we're being sexist. Let's only have women interviewed. So some of the proposed changes to armor, they have a female model, and then my favorite term that they show is around the mammary area. It says vital torso protection ballistic plates with smart sensor. So I couldn't find a description for smart sensor in the article itself, so I'm led to believe that smart sensor means that I'm led to believe the most juvenile, obnoxious thing, in that it must be like a cup sensing, size sensing, adaptation technology based on women different chest sizes, and then the armor will adapt based on those sizes. So the article is extremely incomplete. It describes the need for these things and what they can be used for, and I love how they go to great lengths to explain the differences between men and women to us physically in terms of genitalia, because our current culture and society has done so much to muddy the water and difference between what a man and a woman is, or maybe even more so what I identify with as a modern man. Maybe I feel like I need to change clothes in the women's restroom because I identify more with women than I do with men. So they really go to great lengths to describe gender and sexuality in the article.
I identify as a woman's leotard.
I want to know. I want to know what the vital torso protection ballistic plates. I want to know with what smart sensor is. So if you're a listener and you're in the military in some area that is having to do with these protection improvements, and you know what ballistic plates with smart sensors are, please write in, submit a comment, and maybe belittle Jake somehow in the comment if you feel the need when submitting it. That's all I have.
Oh my God.
Thanks. John, what do you have?
So I don't know. This show used to be popular. I don't know if anybody still watches it. There's a show on History called Pawn Stars, and it is hilariously bad. After watching approximately half of one episode, you can figure out that they're all identical, and that the main host has no money for anything but is a total scumbag. Anyway, there's a character on that show, and I say character because they call it reality. It is complete nonsense. This young man, his name is Austin Lee Russell, and he looks like a bad, like Chris Farley / knockoff of John Candy Like he really, really just went down the wrong path in life, and he happened to work at this location, at this pawn shop, right? And through the years, this show has made substantial amounts of money, and he decided to spend some of that, at least according to this, on drugs and weapons, and that means he bought meth and had guns. Now, this is hilarious because Chum Lee is a bumbling idiot on the show, and and it's just funny to see idiots get arrested, but. There's no, like, we were talking about this beforehand. It's like, well, was it a legal gun? Was this something that it wasn't supposed to have? I mean, they showed him on the show multiple times shooting guns and like really enjoying it. So we're bound to know that this guy's going to have guns, but he's actually under investigation for sexual assault. And I guess they went to his house and found meth and guns, and because I'm going to quote Billy here, this is the only time that you find a substance and it makes another thing illegal. They found drugs and suddenly the gun is illegal.
Right, because we have no, and the story doesn't clarify that. We have no idea if he legally bought this gun. He very well could have legally bought the gun, have every right to own it, and all of a sudden, because drugs were found there, now all of a sudden it's an illegal gun, which is really interesting, like we said earlier, because I don't know of another object that is legal one moment, and because it's next to something that's illegal, all of a sudden it then becomes illegal.
Yeah.
And thank you, meth.
Well, we were kind of.
He doesn't look like he's doing meth. I mean, the guy's he's a pretty big guy. So.
But he also looks like he would hang out with people and or date girls that do meth.
He does live in Vegas, so there could be some truth to that. We've all been to SHOT Show. We know how seedy Vegas can be.
I can't say that I've done meth at SHOT Show. I can't say that I haven't done meth at SHOT Show. I also can't say that I haven't been offered meth at SHOT Show. Jake, that's why we constantly try and get you there. But anyway, it is Vegas, and it is Pawn Stars, and it is meth.
I mean, really, what did you expect from a guy named Chum Lee?
Funny sidebar. Does anyone notice, if you hear the general populace talk about meth, or somebody posts something to Facebook about, oh, look, my hometown is indicted for this and this about meth all over again, and then they describe that area as the meth capital of the United States, like, here we are, as if it's some, like, FBI factual proven crime report. Have you ever noticed that? That everybody who describes meth being found in a specific county talks about that county as if it's the #1 meth producing county in the U.S.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, it's like every desert community, right? Like every suburb outside of Los Angeles is like the meth capital. Every suburb outside of Phoenix is the meth capital. The whole southern border is the meth capital. Middle of nowhere, Wyoming is the meth capital. Northern Michigan's. You're right. Everywhere is the meth capital.
Yeah.
And the specifically the southern end of West Virginia is hilariously the meth capital.
But I'm even talking about. I'm going back 15 years plus, pre-Breaking Bad by a lot. Before meth was cool.
Meth is cool.
Well,
ask Chum Lee, zing.
Before Breaking Bad made it cool.
Yeah, right.
I am the
Which
one
is
who
funny,
knocks.
'cause there's all these meth capitals, yet I don't, at least openly, know anybody that does meth. Like, it's funny, it's the capital, right? I mean, everybody's doing meth according to what you hear on the news, but yet I don't know where they're at because they're not around me.
Just
Billy,
go.
we gotta have a talk. I may have a problem with meth.
Go to the DMV and follow someone. All you have to do is look at someone and go, okay, I'm positive they're on meth. Because they look unlike anyone else, and the DMV is the best collection place. This is like this amalgamation of society where everyone is on the same plane and has to be in the same place because it's the only place to do that. And then you follow that person. Usually they'll be driving like a really old LeBaron or
Toyota Tercel.
or like a town and country van that has no rear bumper or something like that. And the Tercel is a good profile too, or like a really old Honda
So what are you saying? They
CRX.
scrapped the bumper to get the money. They scrapped
Well,
the bumper, is what you're saying?
yeah,
Yeah, it was
or
chrome.
they use it as like some kind of a beaker or something. I don't know. I haven't had that much exposure.
They're
So,
cooking meth in a bumper.
and then you follow them, and if it leads to one of two places, either a neighborhood in the city that doesn't look like it's inhabited anymore, or a house in the country that doesn't look like it's inhabited, or a really trashy hotel, then I said one of two places. That's three places. But then Billy, you find your meth.
I'm going to tell you what, Ebbs. I don't have that much time, so I will take your word for it.
Well, I know Jake was talking about it earlier, wanting to figure it out. So,
Ebbs, the next time you decide to follow a meth head, could you just document it like that hitchhiker?
I absolutely will.
Please.
I can't
Shoot it this
guarantee-
way, though.
Yeah.
Hit landscape.
I'll shoot it in
The phone
landscape.
sideways.
I'll shoot it in landscape.
All right.
You know what though? It's more. Let's talk about the value of a documentary filmed in portrait. I think it's something that is an underrated and overlooked.
Moving on. Bitchin' Betty is retiring from the F-18 program. Leslie Shook, who has a long voice, the audible warnings built into every FA-18 Hornet, is retiring, though her stern warnings will live on. So she's a Boeing employee, and she's responsible for such hits as roll right, pull up. And she's affectionately known by flight crews as Bitchin' Betty.
That's kind of cool. Got to be honest to know that your voice is like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm the warning voice in F-18 fighter jets.
Now that you say that, that's extremely cool.
Yeah.
And she either looks exactly like the person you would imagine doing a warning voice in an F-18 fighter jet, or nothing like the person that you would expect. Like, she's someone's grandma. Probably
She looks like a fourth grade science teacher.
Is she going to be the new voice of Siri?
Oh my God, I can hope so.
I'm going to try to get her on the Firearms Radio Network. She'll be the new voice of the network.
She's a disciplinarian, just judging by her appearance.
Principal Shook.
All right, so the story I really wanted to bring up this week was unlocking a biometric gun safe with a paperclip. That's right, a paperclip. So this is a very popular handgun vault. It's a gun vault, mini vault, the GV1000S handgun safe. So it's a biometric gun vault product. It's got the flip down door in the front. Lots of places sell these. And this guy in this video shows how in just a few seconds you can pop this gun vault open with nothing more than a paperclip.
I love the parting shot, and it's the last sentence of the written portion. It says the safe is one of more than 100 brands, pre-approved by the California Justice Department and certified for sale. I just love that because it's like that. Nothing leads to that, and it doesn't need to be there. But it just goes to show how ridiculous and arbitrary, once more, California's gun laws are. Like, oh, that one's got the name Vault in it. We don't even need to test it. Like, there's no question in my mind. That's totally solid.
I'd hate to break it to people right now, but most cheap safes can easily be broken into. And there's a guy on YouTube that breaks into them, Mr. Locksmith, and he uses magnets because a lot of them have like a solenoid in them, right? And so there's an electrical current. And so what you can do is you can put a magnet over it and you can trigger it and they pop open. He opens like every Century safe out there.
Wow.
And he does videos of it, and they like gave him a cease and desist, and he's like, nope. And he fought it. Companies go after him because he just like breaks into safes. He's like, here, how you do it? Here's a magnet. Click, opens it, and you're like, wow, why even have it?
You know what else is funny about these small safes to me is that you could literally just pick them up and walk away. Like, they're not heavy. They don't usually have ways to be bolted down. Like, just pick it up and carry it away. If somebody wants what's in there, they will take the whole safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it with me and take my time opening it instead of feel rushed that I need to hurry up and open the
Right.
safe that I could just carry away.
Or take the whole drawer it's bolted into, or the whole nightstand it's bolted
Yeah.
into. Just walk the whole thing out.
Yeah.
You've
And next week on This Week in Criminals,
I know. I shared this on social media, and people are like, "Oh, thanks for sharing it with all the criminals now. Now they know how to steal or get into our safes."
yeah, they're just pissed because they bought one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. Was there any other full auto stories any of you guys wanted to hit before we wrap things up?
No, there's some good ones in here. Everybody should kind of, if you're into looking at the show notes, check these out. My favorite headline is Waffle House plus meth plus clown equals a Friday night in Georgia.
It's actually the meth capital of the world.
We really set up that one. Probably should just go ahead and share that. So this is from thesmokinggun.com. In the headline on the link itself says meth smoking clown arrested at Waffle House. Now the best part of this is the guy's mugshot. The description of the mugshot perfectly describes the type of guy that I said you should be looking for at the DMV in case you're interested in scoring some meth. Because it says, on March 4th, the man dressed as a clown locked himself in the bathroom of a Georgia Waffle House after smoking methamphetamine at the restaurant's counter. So he didn't go to the bathroom to smoke it. He smoked it at the counter and then locked himself in the bathroom after he went trippy on the meth. It says, according to police who collared the costume suspect on multiple narcotics charges. The bizarre 4 a.m. incident, because nothing cool happens at Waffle House unless it's at 4 a.m. The bizarre 4 a.m. incident Tuesday ended with the arrest of Jacob Worthington, a 25-year-old Army veteran. That part's not funny. Police were summoned to the Athens eatery by a Waffle House worker who reported that a man wearing a clown suit was smoking meth inside the business. So he's at the counter in his clown suit.
But you can't make that up.
Hopefully he ordered, at least he got a scattered smothered covered hash brown or something. After cops removed Worthington from the bathroom, a search of his book bag turned up marijuana, a jar of mushrooms, LSD, a digital scale, rolling papers, and a smoking bowl with pot residue. An Athens Clark County Police Department report does not reveal why Worthington was dressed as a clown. I love that sentence because you don't need to know why he was dressed as a clown if you just found all of that contraband in his book bag. That's why he was dressed as a clown. He was out of his mind.
Nobody will suspect the clown from just being a meth head.
No,
and, we talked about Chum Lee and how he doesn't look like a meth head. If you want to compare the two, just flip between the two articles. This is a guy that looks like a meth head. He looks like an extra on Breaking Bad.
No, but I mean, with all the stuff he had in his book bag, he wasn't thinking, I'm going to get dressed up like a clown and go to Waffle House. He only thought, I'm going to get dressed. And based on all of the influence his mind had, because of the things that he had used in his bag, that was how he got dressed. And that was the perfect normal to go to Waffle House.
See, I think it was a little bit different than that. I think that this guy, we're going to assume that he's in between jobs. I want to say that all of his other clothes were dirty. He looked around his apartment and went, shit, I got to wear the clown suit. So he's like, what am I going to do to make myself feel better? I'm going to go smoke meth at Waffle House. Because, what more could make you feel better than smoking meth at a Waffle House?
I'm not going to say I haven't been to the Clark County Waffle House in Athens, Georgia in 1993. But I'm also not going to say that I haven't been to the Clark County Waffle House in Athens, Georgia in 1993. So I'm not saying the two incidents are related, but it's It's really.
Is this like a Joe Dirt story? This is like your brother that you left behind?
Maybe. Have you seen the color of the guy's hair?
He is a ganger.
Gosh.
All right, another story that I forgot was in here is the Israeli stabbing victim pulls knife from his own neck and kills terrorist attacker.
Isn't that the best revenge
What's
you've
his
ever
name?
heard of?
Liam Neeson? That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I got nothing tonight, really.
I actually want to see. I want to see video because I kind of feel like this is something that's kind of been built into like this legend now, right? Like, because this is a kind of a great story. I want to know if the media really kind of exploited this to something that it maybe wasn't. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, it is a great story, right? Because he was an American tourist, wasn't he? I think the victim was. I think the victim was American.
I think so.
No, it says he was an Israeli man attacked by a Palestinian.
There was some relation to him being American or being in college, and I remember there was some correlation there.
Some early reports said it was an American or something. I just think I want to know if this was something that was built up by the media because this is like a perfect story.
It says a U.S. citizen was killed in another attack less than a mile from where Joe Biden was when he was visiting there. So, too bad Joe Biden didn't
have his shotgun.
Yeah, he didn't intercept with a shotgun.
He wasn't patrolling the streets.
By shotgun.
All right. Well, if you'd like to talk about these stories and more in our after show, you can check out our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/week. Support us at $10 per episode, and you can hang out with the hosts after the show. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. You can get the new version of the Bullet Bill patch. You can get the Her Lips patch, or back in stock, hot item. Check it out, patriotpatch.co. And also new t-shirts up. John's rocking a Gun Guy t-shirt tonight. Check that out. We have sizes all the way up to 5XL with most of our t-shirts. So patriotpatch.co. Get the address right here. All right. Let's see what the hosts have been up to lately. John, what's up with the Gun Collective?
All the things. Just trying to keep things moving forward. Working on a couple new shows for the long term. You know, there's been some demand for more content from TGC, so that's kind of one of my priorities going through the next few months. Just bringing more good content out, working with more great companies, and showing off some cool stuff. I've been traveling a ton for the consulting side of my business. I was just down working with the Iraq Veteran 8888 guys, doing some video work there. We're firing some black powder stuff, some new ammo, and just traveling around. It's going to be awesome, man. That's the life of TGC and me. It's just constant go.
Very cool. Black powder. I'm thinking I need to get into some black powder stuff later this year.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's something special about a black powder rifle. I would personally like to have a Pennsylvania rifle, just because, hashtag PA leads the way. But also, I've been really eyeing up the new Strike muzzleloader, which used to be was it LHR before?
Yep. The LHR Redemption.
It was the LHR Redemption, and now I believe TC owns that. They bought that, and it's called the Strike now, and it's one of my favorite designs as far as a muzzleloader goes. Easy to take apart and whatnot. So black powder is not something that's too far out for TGC, that's for sure.
Very cool. And again, where can people connect with you online?
So you can go onto your Google machine and type in The Gun Collective. You can also do that on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, everywhere. I am all over the place. Bigger presences these days on like Snapchat, doing a lot with Snapchat. Facebook is always strong. So yeah, come find me. Let's talk.
Very cool. Abs, House of Guns, House of Arms. What's up?
Jake, just chilling. Thanks for asking. We are getting ready to release some newly chambered barrels featuring the House of Arms name in 444 Marlin. They're actually a rechambered 44 mag, but it's a perfect in terms of twist rate, and there are hardly any 444 barrels available for Encore. We also have several new barrels in 3030 Winchester coming for the Encore, which is pretty cool, as well as 6.8 SPC and 243 improved. So getting some new calibers available that are not standard production for Thompson Center. So that's keeping us busy, still working on triggers, and yeah, 2016 is starting strong, man.
Very cool. Where can people connect with you guys online?
House of Guns everywhere, HAUSOFGUNS on all the social media platforms, and then House of Arms. We do have a Facebook page, and it's spelled the same way, HAUS, and the website is houseofarms.com, and you can find all the products we carry related to Thompson Center, single shot platforms, and CVA as well. We have a growing CVA inventory pretty much as we speak. So,
very cool. Billy, tell us about some of your awesome products over at Boxer Tactical.
We have our staple that we've had for a while. It's a Zenith belt, which is reinforced with a piece of coated webbing inside of 2 layers of nylon webbing. So that's probably our most popular product right now. Just launched the new website at boxertactical.com. It's been a couple months in the works, and you can also find us over on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and we got a lot of new products that are going to be rolling out, and finally just made the Honestly American t-shirt. And if you don't know what that is, that's our open and transparent manufacturing process where we actually tell you where all the raw materials come from. So it's pretty cool. That's kind of a mission of mine, is to be as transparent as possible with manufacturing. And by listing the raw materials is the first step. We're going to be doing some more with that later in the year, and hopefully be releasing yearly reports on our suppliers, and we're trying to go to a different level of manufacturing transparency that really nobody else is doing. So that's kind of a goal of mine. But other than that, go over to Boxer Tactical, check out the new site, and then shoot me an email on there or comment somewhere on Facebook and let me know what you think, because I really want to get people's feedback. It's really important to us, and that's about it, Jake.
Very
Dude,
cool.
I really like the breakdown you have here of your materials we use under the Honestly American section on the site. It's just a simple breakdown. It even includes things like, the printing, the packing tape, the bags they use. Like, this is what I think a lot of companies should be doing and could learn from. It's really impressive.
Well,
Thanks, man.
here. Hang on. You have stuff made in California. What?
We do. There are some things that come from. Some of our T-shirts are American Apparel. Those are made in downtown LA. And if people don't know, American Apparel is one of the last vertical manufacturers in the U.S. And what that means is raw cotton comes in one side, and a finished T-shirt goes out the other.
Wow.
Most T-shirt manufacturers, they're buying rolls of fabric and cutting it, putting the patterns on the fabric, cutting it. So, and not everything American Apparel is going to be completely vertically manufactured, but that's how everything in this country used to be made. Ford, right? Ford owned the quarries. They owned, the ore mines. They owned the whole process. And over time, it was cheaper. People thought they could save money by farming it out. And so we try to support companies that, we look at their manufacturing process and what we like about it. And so we're choosing some of those manufacturers. We have a great supplier for our nylon webbing. Also supplies nylon material to NASA. They're one of the last few webbing manufacturers left in America. So we're trying to find unique partners that believe in what we believe in, and those are companies that we want to work with.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. You guys got to check that out over at boxertactical.com. So that about wraps us up. You can, again, support us through the Patreon, patreon.com/week, and leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes at firearmsradio.tv. Leave us that iTunes review, and also don't forget to contribute by bookmarking that Firearms Radio Network Amazon affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. Well, thank you, John.
Hey, Jake. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebbs.
You're welcome, Jake.
Thank you, Billy.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next week.